Hello. This is, it's the Smile Revolution, and I am Princess Wow, also known as Mindy Fradkin. We raise awareness to the healing power of a genuine smile. And this project started 2005. The last time I saw my dead conscious, he gave me a big grin, and that smile changed my life for the better. And I've done many things. I had a radio show on WKNY in Kingston, New York, with celebrity guests like Pete Seeger, Richie Havens, Arlo Guthrie, and many other musicians and authors like Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote Conversations with God series, et cetera, et cetera. And, somebody wants to say hello. Miss Wow. She always likes to come in and say hello. Anyway, she's from a photo with me. And and I've done, smile concerts with my husband, my ex-husband, Roland Musa, with Pete Seeger. And let's see, what else I did all these different things, a blog. And then when the pandemic hit, I started the show to help people smile all during lockdown. And it morphed back into my interviews because I was doing dance parties and baking shows and in my closet shows, show and tell, etc. Anyway, and promoting musician friends. So here we are now. Let's see. This is my 152nd show since the beginning of pandemic. And I have a really great show today with Joseph Bennett. And he is a poet, podcaster, improv actor, and creativity coach. I'm going to be talking more about him in a few minutes, but I want to talk to you about, about smiling. And this is from my blog from years ago. Melody Lewis wrote, "A smile is a revolutionary act because something has to change drastically to smile. To get to something better, we have to overthrow something that is worn out or holding us back. We have to change the way we think about something to turn a frown into a smile." And then let's see what else here. Let's see. Wait a minute. Okay, Laura Molitor wrote, "The smiling revolution is right on target. Our joy is more contagious than anything, and we can spread it simply and easily with a smile. I found that even when I'm in my sourest state of mind, a smile from someone can make the world feel like a better place. I want to give that back. A smile has power because it comes from a place of love, of hope, of spiritual truth. It may seem to be just a facial expression, but what backs it up is love, and that's divine. Smiles have power, and they are a great beginning to a revolution of joy. We can change the world for good by letting our smiles catch on. They free us and others from paranoia, fear, depression, those very things that lead to crime, sickness, and even terrorism. A smile is a small beginning, but a powerful one. Smile, grin, giggle, and laugh. It's not hard to do, and it's a healing thing. I know you want to do it. Come on, just do it." And let's see. Okay, now what else I have here is Mr. Rogers, The World According to Mr. Rogers. Okay. Often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. I've felt that many times. My hope for all of us is that the miles we go before we sleep will be filled with all the feelings that come from deep caring, delight, sadness, joy, wisdom, and that in all the endings of our life, we will be able to see the new beginnings. And then he wrote, "When I was a boy, I used to think that strong meant having big muscles, great physical power. But the longer I live, the more I realize that real strength has much more to do with what is not seen. Real strength has to do with helping others." I always love to read from his book. Anything with Mr. Rogers is amazing. Okay. The Tiny Book of Tiny Pleasures, Irene Smith and Astrid Vanderholt. Okay. Outdoor therapy. Absorbing the sights and sounds of nature is more beneficial than you might think. The Japanese practice of Shinrin Yoku, translated as taking in the forest or forest bathing, is proven to reduce stress and boost relaxation and overall vitality. And let's see, little things like a day in the park, just catching the bus or train or metro or tram. And then a whistling kettle, catching a snowflake on your tongue, reading in bed. It's just it's a cute little book. Exquisite, a beautiful word. And then Neil Donald Walsh, who was on my radio show twice. He wrote Conversations with God and other books. Just going to read a few quotes. If you carry joy in your heart, you can heal any moment. A smile is a window to your soul. Laughter is the door. Joy is life expressing. Now, I'm not always joyful. I don't know, maybe you are. Some people smile all the time, but it's about giving and receiving smiles. Sometimes I need you to smile at me to remind me to smile. And I didn't grow up smiling a lot, so it's for me, it's been a learning process through this project that I've been given over the years. And anyway, okay, so people say I have very interesting stories. So I'm going to tell you a little story today because I feel led to. Okay, so Jan Skates is an award-winning floral designer from London, and we met about 6 months ago. He is on a Netflix. He's featured in a TV show on Netflix called The Big Flower Fight. And I met him recently through Sue Kreitzman. Well, 6 months ago, I met him through Sue Kreitzman, who's an award-winning, famous artist and curator in London. And she used to live in New York and London, but she was leaving New York for good 6 months ago, and I met her finally in person. She's very colorful. She started the London Color Walk, which I'm a part of spiritually. I haven't gotten there yet in person, but it's like they get together every third Thursday in London at Spitalfield Market. And they all dress in all these colors, like the way I'd been dressing for decades. And so it's very joyful, goes with my mission, and they're really great people. And so anyway, I met Sue when she was leaving New York and interviewed her and got some of her jewelry. And anyway, she was promoting me on her Instagram page, and like Jan and I connected immediately. And then I asked him to be on my show. So he came to New York recently, around a week ago, and to do an event in New York City in Greenwich Village at Hot Situations with Ideal Glass Studios. And so anyway, him and I think we're clones of each other. Like when I look at him, I feel like I'm looking at myself, and vice versa. So he wears hats every day. I make hats. That's one of the things I do, is I'm a hat designer. And I'm a hat designer, singer, songwriter, performer, interviewer, etc. I'm woman of many hats. But in the meantime, he and I have like a really similar sensibility, and he's a hat person too. So I'm going to show you like a 30-second clip of what I edited from Saturday. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go off for. And we just had a blast. It was an amazing event, and great to finally see him in person. And he'll be back in New York because they want him back. They do these events every month. Well, it's a mansion in Greenwich Village, and anyway, this man who's amazing. I will see if I can get him on my show. He's an actor and a performance artist and musician, and he owns this mansion, and he rents out rooms like every night. And then he has this one event, Hot Situations, is every month, the second Saturday, I think. And it's an immersive, incredible, it's amazing. They fly artists in from all over the world, and they have this one artist, Uta, did this dress. He makes these costumes, and he hires these dancers. Anyway, it's amazing. If you're on my Facebook, you've seen some of the pictures. Oh, Laura. Hi, Laura. Laura's watching. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So in the meantime, Yeah, it was an amazing experience and so great to meet him in person finally. So it was really fun. So I just wanted to share a little tidbit of that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Wait, let me read a couple things here. Wait a minute. Okay, I love these artist comments about art because I've been an artist my whole life, and I just really love artists. So that's one of the reasons why I love to do my interview shows because I love artists, and so I love to promote what they're doing, and authors, artists, authors, poets, etc., musicians. Okay, let's see. Michelangelo said, I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. Paul Gauguin said, I shut my eyes in order to see. Marc Chagall, when I judge art, I take my painting and put it next to a God made object like a tree or flower. If it clashes, it's not art. Piet Mondrian, the position of the artist is humble. He is essentially a channel. Jackson Pollock, every good painter paints what he is. Anyway, I just love hearing what other artists say about art. Okay, so my next segment is is my interview. And wait, hold on one second. Sorry, I've got to get to my page here with Joseph Bennett. And here is, let's see. He is a poet, podcaster, improv actor, and creativity coach. His podcast, Are You Waiting for Permission?, has been downloaded more than 10,000 times, and his first 3 books have been #1 bestsellers. His 4th book, When in Doubt, nearly 400 funny, insightful, and irreverent ideas for what to do when you're in doubt, will be released in April. 5 years ago, Joseph co-founded San Miguel Retreats with his husband, Eli Hans. And what else? I found some other things here. Wait a minute. Okay. He also does assemblage art. And he has a book on his assemblage art as well. And here he is. Hi, Joseph.
Oh my goodness, you have me smiling from ear to ear with all the things that you just shared.
Hi. Hi. Thank you. I'm glad.
Absolutely. So I want to start off by saying I honor you and your smile revolution because it is absolutely a revolution. And one smile can change the world, really and truly. So thank you for the work. I know sometimes it can be thankless, and I am here to acknowledge you and to thank you, my dear.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it coming from you because you do so many amazing things and are doing so much good in the world too.
Thanks.
Yeah. So anyway, we met recently through, I think, your husband and through my connection with my solo performing friend in
and
LA.
Delightful Diana Barco as well.
Diana Barco, who we adore.
Yes, we adore
She's
her.
amazing. She's like incredibly talented and such an amazing. She's an amazing person. Her show is incredible. Shattered. So anyway, so that's how we connected through her.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you.
Oh, sure. You're welcome. So, okay. So, first of all, I've been reading your book, Rest, The Art of Doing Less. And it's really been helping me. It's been great. I mean, I think about this topic actually a lot. And recently, the last few months, I've been resting more than I usually do, even before I got your book.
Congratulations. That's revolutionary as well, right?
It is. Without guilt. I know, without guilt.
It's not easy. Sometimes what I have found is that we get rewarded by how much we do and how busy we are and how full our calendar is. We don't necessarily get rewarded or acknowledged for laying next to the pond for a couple hours or going to the park to read a book. Like, nobody's giving out stars for that.
Exactly.
Until now, I will give out stars for that.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, so how did you get into? Okay, well, we'll talk more about that. I love this. Oh, I want to talk about your poster though too. You have these posters, the Rest Manifesto, and I love that. I think that is so neat. Well, anyway, it's so many amazing ideas in this book. I love this. Anne Lamott on your chapter 7 says almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you.
She's an amazing, brilliant writer. I love Anne Lamott. I had the pleasure of meeting her in San Diego at one of the talks that she did, and I've been a huge fan for years.
And then I love this idea of inner rester and interesting, using a play on words, and then interesting mantra. Close your eyes and breathe into the mantra. I am enough. I do enough. I have enough.
Wow. Yeah, I thank you for pointing that out, my dear, because we can, until now, really get tied up in what's missing, what we're not doing, what we haven't done, what we need to do, what's in lack. And that can be, am I allowed to cuss on here? That can be so freaking toxic, right? For us. And
I do that too. I mean, I go through that too. Yeah. And, I think a lot of us do.
I think a lot of us do. And my question is not about judgment, whether you do that or not. It's about, is that sustainable?
Right.
I'm just interested in, is that sustainable? To constantly be in the mental track of, I'm not doing enough, I don't have enough, I don't create enough, right? Like, where does that lead us to?
To a downward spiral. And the thing is, it's like on social media, because there's like, we're like supposed to like post things every day or twice a day. And like, oh, I have how many social media things am I going to, it's hard because you get into like, I've got to post another thing. And what am I going to do? I've got to keep up with everybody else doing posting stuff and, all that. Oh, wait, Laura wrote something. Wait. So true. We need to focus less on what we aren't doing and more on the good that is at hand and that we are doing.
Thank you, Laura. Yes. Sing it out from the church steps. Thank you.
Right.
And the other part that I want to say, and this might be true for some of your listeners, my dear, is that how much we do is related to our self-esteem. And I'm just curious if we can nurture our self-esteem without all the activity and without all the busyness. Can we address that? Because if that's the issue, and I'm here to propose that I think it is, that our self-love and our self-care and our self-worth is what we can be working on. So what if, I'm going to put this out to your listeners, what if instead of another half hour at the office or another half hour at the gym or another half hour of doing whatever it is you do, you spent that half hour working on your self-esteem, working on your self-love, working on your self-worth? What's more sustainable? I don't know. I'm not here to say that I have the answers, but I think that it's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's not easy. Now, let me just see what else I have. All these things that and then, okay, what else? Too much of not enough. I love this quote, Jeanette LeBlanc. You're not too much. You have never been too much. You will never be too much. The very idea is preposterous. Because you were born to be you, all of you, not a tiny acceptable sliver. Not a watered down version with colors dulled and edges softened. No, you were meant to be every last pulsing, bleeding, loving, crying, feeling bit.
I think she wrote that quote for you, Princess Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Because people used to say to me, oh, you're too much, tone it down. Not recently, but years ago, people would say that, like in the 90s. It's like everyone's wearing black in New York and I'm wearing all these colors. Like, tone it down. You got to tone it down. You're too much.
And sometimes, even if people aren't saying that to us, we still tell that to ourselves. Oh, I laughed too loud in the restaurant. Oh, I shouldn't have told that off-color joke. Oh, I shouldn't have worn that out because it showed too much cleavage. Whatever it is,
Yeah, right.
and we're consistently and constantly editing ourselves, right? How did I sound? How did I talk? What did I say? How do I look? That's exhausting. That's just truly
Right, it
exhausting.
is. And here you have, perhaps someday we can all gather together and celebrate and then put to rest all that we have too much of, too much work, too much shame, too much rushing, too much catching up to do, too much worrying, too much hurting, too much trying harder, holding on, too much of not enough, too much of why not me, and too much of I'm missing out.
Oh, wow.
You got, this book is very powerful.
Hmm.
You've got a lot of good ideas in here.
Thank you. I don't think so.
No?
Well, a good idea is only as good as the action you take. So it's
Right.
only as good if it actually serves somebody and they truly put down their
Oh, no,
phone.
definitely. I agree with you.
Yeah. It,
Yeah,
you
put it
know,
to use. No, put it to use. No, I agree. And then today I give myself permission to say no to what doesn't serve me and yes to what does.
mhm.
No, no, it's when you have though areas to write things down. I've been writing things down. Like you have areas, a place of rest and reflection. Now I love this.
I have to tell you
It's a
that
workbook. It's a workbook.
when you read it, it sounds really good. I think you could do the audiobook. Can you?
Yeah. But we can talk about it.
Thank you.
No, but it's like, no, but it is a workbook. And then I just like these, the poster. You have a poster, how to be happy, how to really love yourself. And they're in color, right? But they're not in color in this book.
Right.
But anyway, they're really good. And so this book came out, you wrote this during the pandemic, right?
I did. And it came out in June, and then my second book or my third book came out in August. So I had already written them. I just staggered them a little bit for production, and I'm wondering how many of your listeners have a book inside of them.
Laura, well, Laura's, I know, published, Laura, who's watching, is a poet and writer. I know she has something, and a songwriter and singer. She has her own band with her twin sister, Rare Birds in Flight.
Yeah, I would assume that most of your listeners have a book or a song or a poem or a sonnet inside of them.
Yeah.
And they're getting a little distracted. Sorry to make that blank statement, but being a coach for more than a few decades, I know that we suffer from the big D of distraction.
Well, I feel with this, the phones are such a distraction. I'm like constantly, I'm addicted to the phones, and it's not good. So how do you deal with that? I mean, the phone addiction, they want you to be they want you to be addicted to the phone.
Okay, so let me ask you the question. How do you deal with that? If you were to look at and say, this isn't serving me, how can I use this more as a tool than as an addiction? What would be the first thing that you would want to do, Mindy?
I have to figure out a way to like turn off my phone for like maybe a few hours a day or something. Somehow turn it off.
Great. Okay. So in there was a little bit of curiosity, which I love. I have to figure out how. So that's like a question that you're asking yourself. And then you got to the solution. And tell me the solution again. I have to
turn off my phone for a few hours a day.
Great. And what few hours would those be? Would they be in the morning?
I'm afraid to. What if somebody, I don't know. So if somebody's, it's like, it's okay.
Great.
Like, what if it's something urgent? Somebody needs to reach me right away.
When would those few hours be? Would they be in the morning?
At night. It could be at night.
At night. Okay. Starting at what time?
6 or 7.
Pick a time.
6.
There's no wrong answer here.
6.
Great. So today is Saturday, and would you be willing to tonight at 6 p.m. to turn off your phone for how long? You said a few hours, but we're starting small.
2 hours?
2
Or
hours,
actually, can we start an hour and a half?
an hour and a half. So for 90 minutes, you
Okay.
turn off the phone from 6 to 7:30. So that's part A. Part B is how do you want to fill your life, fill your time? And rest is an option, okay? How do you want to fill your time or not during those 90 minutes?
Well, I could be. Oh, Laura just wrote, we used to not have phones with us all the time, and we did survive and actually had a life. Right.
Thank you, Laura. Yes.
Well, I could do some studying. I do a lot of metaphysical studying, and I could be praying, and I could be
Mm.
playing music, playing guitar,
Mm-hmm. Playing piano, playing the
playing piano. Yeah,
ukulele.
yeah.
So,
Oh, but
what?
with my phone, I need my phone for that. Never mind, because I use an app
Great.
for my lessons. So I can't do that, but I could do other things. I could be reading.
Mm-hmm. So here's what I know to be true. You ready?
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Breathe. You are a bright, vivacious, resourceful, and delightful human being. You deserve to have at least 90 minutes free of an addiction each day. Giving yourself permission to create, to make music, to pray, to connect to your metaphysical studies.
Yeah, I like that.
Great. Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so all right, so we have a lot to talk about. So, you say you're a creativity coach. Okay, now what exactly does that mean? Because usually people say they're life coaches or, but you say creativity coach.
Mm-hmm.
So what does
So
that mean?
mostly I work with creative beings and artists or people who are shadow artists. If you know the work of Julia Cameron, you know that she introduced the idea of being a shadow artist. Those of us who are on the periphery looking in and are excited about, what other people are creating, but we don't do it ourselves. So I work with people on the whole spectrum of that, Mindy, of people who are actively creating, that want to have more successful businesses. They want to put their work out into the world in a more authentic and profitable way. And then I work with people who are just like, I'm sick and tired of my career. I got a new client this morning before we logged on, and she said, I have been doing this. I won't give any details away. I have been doing this for decades, and I'm miserable. So let's say that she works in a factory, right? I've been doing this for decades and I'm miserable. And what I like to introduce in my creativity coaching is one thing. And the one thing is possibility. What's possible? What's possible for you? What's possible for your environment? What's possible for your bank account? What's possible for your relationships? What's possible for your health? All of it. So creativity isn't just when we're in the studio at our workbench making stuff. It's how do we live our life in a way that, again, is sustainable. Because
Right.
lots of us are doing things that are okay in the moment, binging Netflix or whatever it is, nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
But is it going to serve you? And one of my guiding quotes is Sean Patrick Flannery. And he says, do something today that your future self will thank you for. So I look at, turning off the phone for 90 minutes and studying metaphysical, practices. That is something that your future self would thank you for.
Right. Yeah.
Or picking up the ukulele. That's something that your future self would thank you
Yeah. Or making a hat or a
or
bracelet
making a
something.
hat or go hugging a tree. I know it's cold in New
Right.
York these days.
Uh-huh.
Hugging a tree or making a snowman. Your future self would thank you for that.
Okay, so we didn't mention that you live in San Miguel de Allende. Am I saying it right?
You are almost so
Yeah, all right,
close, but
tell
I
me how to say
love
it
it.
in
You
Mexico.
sound like you're a native Spanish speaker.
Okay.
It's San Miguel
Yeah.
de Allende.
Ode Allende.
So the
Okay.
double L is pronounced as a Y. So San Miguel de Allende is in the heart of Mexico, in the center of it. And it has been voted the #1 city in the world
That's
6 or
amazing.
7 or more times since 2013. And rather large expat community here, but of
Right.
course the majority are Mexicans. It's a Spanish-speaking community. Pesos is the money denomination that we use. And we have spaces here in our house where people can come and stay and do retreats.
Right.
So health retreats, quitting smoking retreats, wellness retreats,
And
whatever
you
it
do
is.
improv too. You're an
Oh,
improv
I love
master.
improv. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, I love improv. So yeah, you do improv workshops too.
We have a 30-seat theater here at San Miguel Retreats. And
That's amazing. That is
awesome.
so neat. And you have a money workshop coming up in January,
Oh,
right?
can we just breathe in when we just think about money? Can we just give ourselves a breath around that? Far too many of us are exhausted and worried and scared and overwhelmed and insomnic over this thing called money.
Right.
And I want to invite in the possibility that things can be different. Things can be different. So my husband, Eli Hans, an amazing performer and actor and holistic cancer coach and retreat leader, he and I will be leading a 6-week experience starting in January. It's called The Joy of Money. And it is a salve. Is that the right word? Salve?
Salve. I think salve.
For those of us who are beating ourselves up over regret, the whole coulda, woulda, shoulda thing around our money.
Yes.
I should have started doing this.
I do
should not
that.
have bought that.
Yes.
A friend told me last week I shouldn't have bought a $3,000 vacuum cleaner.
Right.
So there'll be no shame and no blame in this course. And you can find it at sublimeguys.com/money. And we would love to have some of your listeners in there. I know that it would be an amazing, life-affirming experience for them. And there's you would appreciate this, 101% happiness guarantee.
Oh, that's neat.
So that means that if a person comes, they take all the classes, they do all of the work, and at the end they're like, I didn't like that. That wasn't any good. We will refund your money 101%.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we really want people to allow themselves, give themselves permission to have a different reality, a different experience about this. And yeah, that's what I want to say about that.
Now, that's really neat. So it starts, when does it start?
It's Saturday, January 7th for 6 consecutive Saturdays.
It'll be on Saturdays. And what time?
Oh, you're going to ask me for details? I think that it is noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay.
6 p.m. London time, but don't quote me on any of that.
Okay, but it's in the afternoon, like if you're in the okay.
Unless you're on the West Coast, yeah.
Right, unless you're on the West Coast, but it's going to be how long is it each week?
It is 90 minutes for the exact amount of time that you are turning off your phone each day.
Oh, good.
That's how long we are going to be together.
Okay, good. That's funny.
And there will be some inspired action steps for the students, our co-creators, to do during the week. Sometimes it can be something as simple as paying attention to their thoughts around money, paying attention to how much time they worry, paying attention to what are they spending money on, and is that a need or is that a want?
Right.
Is it helping them?
Right.
So those kind of things.
That's great.
I have a huge interest in money because I grew up in a family where money was never talked about, but it was screamed about and it was argued about and it was worried about for decades. That was the reality that I grew up
Okay.
in. And after that, I decided to get in a whole lot of debt, and even got to the point where my car got impounded because I had overdue parking tickets, and I never saw that car again because I couldn't afford to get it out of impoundment. And I didn't even go to my high school graduation because the $40 check that was written to pay for my graduation dues bounced. So I made money, but I also mismanaged money a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And so I've been able to heal that through a lot of work and a lot of books and a lot of coaching. And I hired my coach, Leslie Jeter, when I moved to San Diego. And in working with her for a year and a half, I was able to get out of debt. And I've been out of debt ever since. And that was 25-ish years ago.
That's great.
So I love the energy of money because it's the number one thing that keeps us up at night.
Yeah.
Truly, truly. And we deserve to sleep.
Yeah, I'm working on that myself with sleeping. Sometimes it's hard to sleep. And
I can help you with that.
And then you just lay there for hours. You're like, it's not good. But the last week I've been doing better. I know it ebbs and flows. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap it up? Actually, I do want to ask you one more question. What was your life like before the pandemic, during, and how did it alter your career and your life?
I can only answer one part of that.
Yeah, that's okay.
The one part of it is, how was I affected by the pandemic? Was I knew a lot of people that got sick, and I knew people that died from COVID. And it hit me again because I had learned this lesson before and then forgot it, as we do. And then I learned it again. And that is, life is so damn short. We are here for an instant, Mindy. And what do we want to give ourselves permission to do? What do we want to stop doing? Like the worry or the addictions or the insomnia. What do we want to stop doing that's not serving us? So the pandemic taught me that life is so short. I know we hear this all the time. You know, I'm not the first person to introduce this to your listeners or your watchers, right? But it truly is. And we could be gone at any minute. So given that that's a universal truth,
yeah,
how do you want to spend your time?
Right. Oh, and you also, wait a second, and you also have you're a co-podcaster, right? You've got this wonderful podcast.
We have a podcast with the delightful Meredith Grundy, who also lives in New York, like yourself. She's an actor, director, and presentation coach, and we host together the podcast, Are You Waiting for Permission? And next Friday, we are doing a pod-a-thon for 12 hours. So you remember Jerry Lewis, how he would do the telethons?
I was there. I worked at that one of those telethons.
Of course you were.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we are doing a pod-a-thon, consistently podcasting for 12 hours next Friday.
Okay.
10 a.m. New York City time to 10 p.m.
Okay.
In an effort to raise $5,000. And part of that money will go to the Malala organization, malala.org, or it could be malala.com. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Creating funds for girls' education. And so, yeah, we're going to be talking. It's a guest-based show, so we will have some of our previous guests come in. And we'll be here for 12 hours or until we raise $5,000, whichever happens first.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. And what do you do your podcast every week?
Every week. It's released Thursdays at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Are you waiting for permission?
Okay, great. All right, this is wonderful. You have you do a lot, and one of your books. You wrote a poem a day during the pandemic, and that's one of your books that you released, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really neat.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm.
So, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yes, I want to say that you are amazing, and
Oh,
thank you for giving us, your listeners and viewers, permission to smile, to be colorful, to express ourselves, to show up more fully. Because here's the thing, I want you to know this. There are countless people in the world that are showing up more confidently and more colorfully because you are our guide. You will never know what an impact your style and your sense of self is creating in the world, but there are countless.
oh, thank you. Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful I can inspire with all my colors and hats and everything I do. So that's great.
Yeah, and it's more than that. It's about, how you show up in the world and the connections that you make and the interviews that you organize, because this stuff ain't easy. Doing a show, 180 some episodes, that is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. That is not just clicking on a few buttons.
Right.
It is much more than that.
Right. Thank you.
So we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that.
And I look forward to hearing tomorrow how your 90 minutes of rest went tonight when the phone was completely off.
Okay.
Not put away.
Off. Okay.
That was your commitment. So
yes. Okay.
I think that you're a woman of your commitments.
I'm going to do it. I'm excited. No, I'm excited. Thank you. No, this has been really good because I do need to do this.
Beautiful. 6 p.m. New York City time for at least 90 minutes. If you want to go longer, that's awesome. You can. You'd be like, I don't miss it at all. I'm good. I can go for another bit.
Okay. Right.
At least that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, listeners. We appreciate you.
Anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to put your contact information on again. I've been putting it on and off. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And more people watch and replay. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on my show. And I will talk to you soon. I'll let you know how my progress is with my turning off my phone.
Oh, I know I'm going to be giving you a star for an A+ effort. I know that.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm going to close with my credits. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, here we go. My credits. Here we go. Wait a second. Wait a minute. Where am I? There they are. Okay. Anyway, keep smiling, keep sweet, and join the smile revolution. It's called the smile revolution that comes, goes round and back to you. So smile, 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 a simple smile.